It was bright red and shimmered, holding secrets and surprises for rainy days. Milo called it his magic lunchbox. Today, when Milo flipped the latch, something popped out with a ping. It wasn't a sandwich, or carrots, or even cookies. It was a single, very bright green pea. The pea zoomed up and down, high and low. He didn't just roll, he leaped. Milo named him Mr. Peapod, but Mr. Peapod wasn't very good at landing yet. Bowing, he landed in the jam jar. Splat! He landed right on Milo's nose. "You need a target, Mr. Peapod," Milo announced, wiping his nose. "We need to practice so you can land safely every time. Let's find you a soft landing pad." First, Milo tried a fluffy blue bath towel. Mr. Peapod jumped. Bowing! He hit the towel, but it was too springy, and he ricocheted right onto the floor again. "Oops, too bouncy," said Milo. Next, Milo tried his favorite soft pillow. Mr. Peapod jumped higher. WHOOMP! He landed, but the pillow was too squishy. Mr. Peapod sank right in and couldn't get out. Milo stopped and thought. He used his imagination. He gathered soft gray fluff from his dryer and put it inside a bottle cap. He sprinkled some bright red glitter on top to make a perfect target. "A Peapod pit stop," he cheered. Mr. Peapod took a deep breath. Milo counted. 1, 2, 3, jump! Mr. Peapod soared through the air, aimed for the red glitter target, and landed with a gentle tush. Success! He practiced 10 more times, landing perfectly every time. Later that afternoon, Milo's favorite blue marble rolled under the big bookcase, too far for Milo's arm to reach. "Oh no," Milo cried. Suddenly, he had an idea. Mr. Peapod knew exactly what to do. With his practiced skill, he jumped right onto the marble, bounced it forward, and pushed it back out into the light. Milo hugged the lunchbox, thankful for practice, creativity, and his helpful jumping friend. Opening his lunchbox almost as much as playing outside. Today, the smell of yummy spaghetti filled the air. Inside, nestled right beside his sandwich, was a noodle, unlike any he had ever seen. It was long, thick, and perfectly curled like a golden spring. "Wow," Milo whispered. As he picked it up, the noodle began to glow a warm, buttery light. The tiny noodle suddenly stretched, stretching and twisting higher and wider. It spun into a fantastic, giant swirl. Whoosh! Milo felt a gentle pull, and the noodle landed softly, becoming an island right on his rug. This was Noodle Island. It had twisting towers, wavy noodle walls, and bridges made of bouncy spaghetti strings. "Hello?" called Milo. A little voice squeaked back from behind a tall, shell-shaped noodle tower. Peeking out was a creature even smaller than Milo's thumb. He was made entirely of tight, happy noodle coils. "My name is Zoodle," the little creature cheered, bouncing happily on his coil legs. "Welcome to our sunny land." Zoodle looked worried for just a moment. "Milo, we have a big problem." Zoodle led Milo past bubbling streams of marinara sauce that smelled very sweet until they reached a tricky spot. The main noodle bridge, which crossed the sparkling broth lagoon, was broken right in the middle. It had snapped like dry linguine. "Oh dear," said Milo. He sat down and gently touched the jagged edges of the broken noodle strands. Zoodle started to cry tiny, sweet, salty tears. "How will we ever fix it? The other side has the best cinnamon sugar sprinkles." "Patience, Zoodle," Milo said kindly. "We must look closely at how the noodles are twisted and think creatively." Milo noticed that the bridge was braided from 3 long, strong fettuccine noodles. If they overlapped them just right, they could make a patch. It took many tries and lots of gentle wiggling to join the strands tightly back together. They worked side by side, focusing on every coil. Teamwork made the hard job go faster. Zoodle used his small size to reach the tight spots Milo couldn't. Success! The bridge was sturdy and strong again, held together by their clever, patient work. They crossed together to celebrate. Milo waved goodbye to Zoodle and stepped off the island, remembering that the best adventures often need a little creativity and a lot of patience. Loved his lunchbox. It wasn't just any lunchbox. It was bright blue and held the crunchiest carrots and the smoothest yogurt. Today, his mom had packed him something extra special, a little handful of the plumpest, deepest purple blueberries. Time for a snack? Milo popped one in his mouth. Chomp. And then, the air felt very, very light. The remaining blueberries didn't just sit in his hand. They began to float. They were like tiny, purple helium balloons, pulling Milo up, up, up. Higher and higher they drifted, past fluffy white clouds, until Milo landed gently on something soft and wobbly. He had arrived. The sky was made of sunshine, and the clouds were made of the fluffiest, coolest yogurt. "Oh dear, oh help," cried a squeaky voice nearby. Milo hopped off his yogurt cushion and saw two little blueberry organizers, Pippi and Zigzag, staring at a massive, giant knot. "It's the Blueberry Balloon Festival today," explained Pippi sadly, pointing a tiny arm. "But all the strings for the big blue grand balloon are completely tangled." Zigzag zoomed around the knot quickly. "We tried pulling, we tried pushing, we even tried wiggling, but it's still a terrible twist." Milo looked closely. The tangle was huge. It reminded him of when he tried to tie his shoelaces too fast. Pippi sighed. "The festival starts in 10 minutes. We're doomed to stay on the ground." Milo took a deep breath. He remembered what his grandmother always said. A big problem is just a bunch of little problems stuck together. He didn't try to pull the whole knot. He looked for the tiny piece that crossed over the next tiny piece. Wiggle, wiggle, pull. Milo moved one loop over the top of another. He used gentle pressure, not hard strength. Pippi cheered as a piece of string popped free. "You're making a path," she shouted. Milo kept wiggling and unwinding. Blue over purple, purple under blue. Soon, the giant tangle became just one long, perfect string again. "Hooray for Milo!" Pippi and Zigzag shouted together. The grand balloon was instantly tied, ready for liftoff. The Blueberry Balloon Festival began. Hundreds of little blueberry balloons floated into the soft purple air, bobbing happily. Milo felt a little tug. It was time to go. He waved goodbye and floated gently down, landing just in time for recess, feeling brave and full of blueberry magic. Down for lunch and flipped open his bright blue lunchbox. Instead of his usual sandwich, he gasped. Inside, a bustling, tiny city stretched out. It was Sandwich City, built entirely of yummy ingredients. Slices of soft bread were tall buildings, and bright orange tomato slices rolled by like busy buses. Green, wavy lettuce pieces stood tall, acting as giant trees shading the crunchy pretzel pathways below. Milo felt like a giant looking down on the tiny world, but he knew he must be careful not to bump anything. Suddenly, a little figure rushed out from behind a breadcrumb hill. It was Crumbly, a resident made of toasted cheese. "Detective, detective," squeaked Crumbly. "The worst has happened. The magnificent bread bridge is gone." Milo looked where Crumbly pointed. Sure enough, there was a terrible gap where a grand bridge used to connect two big bread towers. Milo straightened his imaginary detective hat. "Don't worry, Crumbly," he said firmly. "Detective Milo is on the case." "Show me where the bread bridge stood," Milo instructed. He needed to use his observation skills. When they arrived at the missing spot, Milo looked very carefully at the surface of the cheese street. Milo murmured. "The bridge is gone, but look, the cheese here is damp, like something sticky spilled recently." Right next to the sticky patch, Milo spotted something else, a trail of tiny, almost invisible footprints leading away. Before they could follow the trail, Mayor Rye arrived, a dignified slice of rye bread, looking very troubled. That bridge was built so strong, Mayor Rye sighed. Why would anyone take it, and where would they put such a giant piece of bread? Milo pointed down the trail. "Someone didn't take it far, Mayor Rye. They left a path." Milo and Crumbly followed the little trail of footprints through the towering lettuce trees and around a giant red puddle. At the edge of the red puddle, they found a small group of worried construction workers hiding under a roof. They had used a piece of the bread bridge as a quick temporary roof to keep the ketchup rain from getting on their picnic. Milo smiled. "We solved the mystery. Now, let's show kindness and help them put the bread bridge back, even stronger than before." Had a special lunchbox. It wasn't just for sandwiches, it was for adventures. When he clicked it open, a swirl of bright green light and crunchy orange smells popped out. He peeked inside and saw a tiny land of tall green tops and earthy orange soil, the Carrot Kingdom. A small, gallant knight, Sir Reese, rode up on his radish steed. "Welcome, Milo. Are you ready for the great root race?" Sir Reese pointed to a long, winding dirt track dotted with tiny flagpoles. "It's a friendly test of strength and fun." Milo smiled wide. "A race? I love races. But how can I help? I'm too big to ride a radish." Then, a nervous little knight named Pipkin shuffled his feet. He looked down at his tiny radish. "The track is so long, Sir Reese, and that hill looks steep," Pipkin whispered. "I don't think I'm fast enough." Milo knelt down close. Being fast is good, but finishing is better. Maybe we can make the path helpful." He pulled out a crayon and sketched a clever idea on a napkin. Ramps! And big, bright flags. We need speed-up ramps for the hills, Milo explained, and victory flags to mark every little step of progress. Cerise stroked his leafy helmet. Brilliant, Milo. A race about effort, not just speed. Pipkin peeked around the corner, listening. Using popsicle sticks and bits of sturdy celery, Milo and the knights worked quickly. Clack, clack, went the hammers. They stuck orange and green paper flags along the dusty track, counting them out loud. 1, 2, 3. Milo even gathered little pebble friends and flower petals to be the cheering crowd. Everyone loves a good cheer. The knights lined up their radish steeds at the starting line. Cerise stood ready with a single green snap pea for the starting signal. Snap went the pea. They were off. Cerise galloped ahead, but Pipkin trotted steadily, focused on the path. When Pipkin reached the steep hill, he bumped right onto the speed-up ramp. Whee! It gave him a little helpful boost. The tiny pebble crowd cheered. Pipkin waved as he rode past the brightly colored victory flags. He smiled, feeling strong. Pipkin might not have crossed first, but he crossed the finish line with courage. Milo gave him the biggest high five. Effort always wins. Lunchtime best, especially when the big red lunchbox was waiting. He always wondered what yummy surprise was hiding inside today. Click, click, the latch opened, and Milo peeped in. Past the crunchy crackers and sliced apples, he saw a cup of bright purple grape jelly. Milo poked the jelly with his spoon. It just sat there, still and wobbly. Lunchtime felt a little bit too quiet today. Maybe, Milo whispered, it needs a little wake-up tap. He gently tapped the plastic cup with his finger. Ting. Whoosh! The purple jelly began to bubble and expand. The tiny cup grew taller and wider, stretching like a shimmering translucent balloon. Milo leaned close. The surface wasn't wobbly anymore. It was moving water. He was looking into a deep, vibrating, purple ocean. Before he could blink, Milo slipped right inside the cup. The air felt soft and smelled sweet, and he floated gently through the glowing jelly water. All around him swam creatures made of gumdrops and soft candy. The waves wobbled and pulsed, casting beautiful shadows on the floor of the sweet sea. Then, Milo saw a tiny jellyfish floating by. Most jellyfish glowed with bright electric sparks, but this one looked quiet and gray. Milo swam closer and met the small jellyfish. Hello, said Milo gently. Why don't you have your ocean glow? My name is Plink, whispered the tiny creature. I think I forgot how to shine. I try to squeeze my spark out, but nothing happens. Milo felt empathy for Plink. Oh, Plink, he said. I bet your glow didn't go away. Maybe it's just hidden deep inside, waiting for a push. How do I push it? Asked Plink sadly. The jelly water felt cold where Plink floated, even though the rest of the ocean was warm. Milo thought hard, floating silently among the wobbly waves. My mom says the best lights come out when we remember something brave we did, Milo announced. What about you, Plink? Have you ever done something super wobbly or super brave? Milo smiled, trying to warm Plink up with his kindness. Plink closed his eyes and remembered a time he wiggled past a giant gummy crab. He had been scared, but he kept wiggling anyway. Suddenly, a tiny, faint flicker of light sparked deep inside Plink's bell. It was small, like a firefly starting up in the dark. You're shining, Plink. You found your courage, cheered Milo. Plink felt the warmth of his memory grow into a brilliant, pulsing light. Plink zipped and twirled, a beacon of bravery in the jelly ocean. Milo laughed, swimming alongside the brightest jellyfish he had ever seen. Ting! The world snapped back into place. Milo was sitting at the table, and the cup was just ordinary, purple jelly again. But now, it seemed to wink at him. Special, secret lunchbox. It wasn't just for sandwiches, it was a magic portal. Every day when the clock chimed noon, Milo knew it was time for an adventure in his lunchbox world. Today, he peered inside and saw a kingdom made entirely of crackers and crumbs, bathed in warm yellow light. Milo shrank down to the size of a berry and stepped carefully onto the salty, crunchy ground. He followed a winding path until he reached a very tall structure, the Great Cracker Castle Tower. But wait, the tower was wobbling. Wiggle, wiggle, whoo! It swayed slightly every time the tiny wind blew. 3 tiny builders, Pip, Kiko, and Rai, were scurrying around the base, looking very worried. Oh dear, squeaked Pip. The foundation is too crumbly. We need strength, but where? Milo thought hard. Cracker structures need something sticky to hold them steady, like glue. Do you have anything sticky? Milo asked Pip. Something soft and sweet that can hold all this crunch together? Milo grinned. Aha! I brought my own secret ingredient, strawberry jelly. Rye quickly brought a small spoon, and the builders began dabbing the sticky, bright jelly between the biggest cracks. The jelly acted like delicious, sweet mortar. The tower stopped swaying from side to side. Hooray! Cheered Kiko. But then the tower settled down and tilted just a little bit forward. Patience, little builders, Milo said softly. It needs support beams now to hold it up straight like a strong spine. Milo rummaged in his tiny pocket again. We need something firm and heavy, something yellow and solid. Cheese support beams, exclaimed Pip. Brilliant! They carefully pushed the strong, smooth cheese under the lowest tilting corner. Slowly, surely, the tower straightened up. It stood tall and true, held fast by the jelly and the cheese. Pip, Kiko, and Rye cheered very loudly. They gave Milo a tiny, crunchy salute for his help and clever thinking. Milo waved goodbye and climbed back into his magic lunchbox, ready for tomorrow's building adventure. Loved lunchtime best of all. He always brought his sturdy red lunchbox, which felt just a little bit magical. Today, his lunch was a crisp, perfect apple. Crunch, crunch, crunch went Milo's teeth. Soon, only the core was left. Milo tossed the core back into his box. Suddenly, the core began to glow bright green and twirl. It hummed a low, windy sound. Whoosh! The core spun so fast it opened a tiny, swirling tunnel. It looked like a tunnel of time. Milo was curious and brave. He carefully climbed right through the light and tumbled out. He had landed in a tiny, gentle world. A friendly helper named Pomona rushed over to meet him. Welcome! I am an apple guardian, she whispered. This is the seed world, where tiny apples begin. Pomona needed Milo's help to gather the floating seeds. They had to be safe so they could grow into sprouts. Suddenly, the air turned sparkly red. The tunnel called them forward to see the next stage of growth. Zip! They flew right to the sprout world. Here, they saw a little green stem reaching toward the sun. Then, the final stop, the tree world. Big, strong branches held up juicy, red apples, ready for picking. Milo knew he had seen the whole journey of the apple. He thanked Pomona and climbed back through the green light, home for supper.